TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations.
Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. The IDF is preparing to reinvigorate its military campaign in the Gaza Strip as the Islamist Hamas defiantly continues to reject Washington's proposals for a ceasefire extension. The United States launches a decisive and powerful military action against the Houthis in Yemen. The Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps Commander, Major General Hossein Salami, attempts to distance Iran from the Houthis amid fears from American military action against the Islamic Republic. Israel's counter-terror campaign in the northern Samaria region of the so-called West Bank is seemingly taking a toll on Iranian-backed terror elements which fostered in recent years. IDF, ISA, and Border Police Special Operations units have confiscated dozens of weapons caches, which included a variety of weapons, munitions, and explosive devices. Moreover, the IDF's Commando Brigade apprehended over 60 suspected terror operatives, which were wanted for interrogation. According to the IDF spokesperson's unit, Commando Brigade's forces will continue to operate to eradicate terror elements throughout Judea and Samaria for the purpose of preserving security for the citizens of the State of Israel. In tandem, Israel police deployed thousands of additional officers in Jerusalem and its surrounding area as tens of thousands of Muslim worshippers are observing the month of Ramadan.
From the early hours of the morning, the Jerusalem District Police has deployed thousands of police personnel in and around Jerusalem, together with police forces and border police and enforcement from other areas of the country who arrived to allow the freedom of worship and religion for prayers on the second Friday of Ramadan. I have not missed a Friday prayer at Al-Aqsa for 50 years, and thank Allah it was easy, and we came this Friday and last Friday.
Well, the Islamist Hamas terror organization has repeatedly called upon Palestinians to commit acts of terror in Jerusalem and its surrounding vicinity. Thankfully, no extraordinary incidents were reported, with Israel's security establishment working tirelessly to prevent any such acts of terror. In other yet related news, the Israeli negotiating team, which returned from the Qatari capital of Doha on Friday, briefed Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and several cabinet ministers and top defense officials yesterday evening, following a reported deadlock in talks that aimed to secure the release of additional hostages from Hamas captivity. According to circulating reports, the IDF is prepared to take military action in the Gaza Strip in the absence of progress in the talks, but is unlikely to launch a large-scale ground offensive immediately. Rather, according to a number of senior Israeli defense officials who spoke to TV7 on condition of anonymity, the anticipated offensive will gradually intensify, with military pressure expected to mount on Hamas exponentially over time. However, Israeli anti-war demonstrators have gathered in Tel Aviv over the weekend to voice their mounting frustrations over the prolonged war and concerns for the hostages in Hamas captivity.
When Israel and America are talking of going back into Gaza and opening the gates of hell, what's there left to destroy there? We've all seen the pictures. Unfortunately, a lot of these people haven't seen the pictures because the Israeli press didn't publish them. But if we go on the foreign channels, we saw the pictures, there's nothing left. So what's more left to destroy? War did not bring back our hostages. The army did not bring back our hostages, unfortunately. What brought them back was negotiations. Do I negotiate with the enemy? Do I negotiate with the devil? I will negotiate with anyone to bring my brothers and sisters home.
Late last week, during a trilateral Israeli, Greek, and Cypriot summit in Athens, Jerusalem's top diplomat, Gideon Sa'ar, addressed Hamas's continued refusal to accept U.S. Mideast envoy Steve Witkoff's outline for an extension to the ceasefire.
In Gaza, Hamas still holds 59 of our hostages. Israel agreed to Special Envoy Steve Witkoff's proposal to extend the ceasefire as long as hostages are released. Hamas said no. Israel will not agree to anything less than the complete demilitarization of Gaza Strip, end of Hamas rule there, and the return of all our hostages.
The Israeli foreign minister also addressed the fragile ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, amplifying Turkey's role in helping the Islamic Republic of Iran transfer illicit funds to the internationally designated terror group Hezbollah. It is important to highlight that Israel remains unyieldingly adamant to enforce the US-brokered ceasefire deal with Lebanon, with dozens of aerial strikes targeting Hezbollah terror operatives, as the Iranian proxy is defiantly seeking to rehabilitate its heavily battered military infrastructure, particularly in southern Lebanon. Separately, along Lebanon's eastern border with Syria, the Iranian proxy Hezbollah and the Turkish-backed jihadist HTS regime in Damascus are increasingly clashing with one another as cross-border tensions between the two internationally recognized terror organizations are seemingly boiling over. Meanwhile, addressing the HTS regime in Damascus, Jerusalem's foreign minister explicitly stressed that Abu Muhammad al-Jalani, also known as Ahmed al-Shara, is spreading jihadist terror throughout Syria.
Israel did not shed a tear over the fall of Assad's regime. Yet the al-Jalani regime of Damascus, which was not democratically elected, has spread jihadist terror throughout Syria. This past weekend, Alawites and Christians, civilians, were barbarically butchered. Europe must play a part in protecting Syrians' minorities. It must remain watchful of Turkey's policies in the region and beyond.
Shifting to the terror-ridden country of Yemen, where the Iranian proxy, Ansar Allah, which is dominated by the Houthi tribe, are facing a decisive and powerful military action by the United States, that after President Donald Trump announced that the Iranian proxy's campaign of unrelenting piracy, violence, and terrorism against American and other ships, aircraft, and drones will face overwhelming lethal force until the United States will achieve its objective. Meanwhile, in an interview with ABC's This Week with George Stephanopoulos, U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz was asked about the difference between the campaign's anticipated intensity under the current administration in comparison to the reactive approach which the Biden administration pursued when the Houthis had launched hundreds of attacks against Western commercial vessels since October 17th of 2023.
The difference is these were not kind of pinprick, back and forth, what ultimately proved to be feckless attacks. This was an overwhelming response that actually targeted multiple Houthi leaders and took them out. And the difference here is, one, going after the Houthi leadership, and two, holding Iran responsible. It is Iran that has repeatedly funded, resourced, trained, and helped the Houthis target not only U.S. warships, but global commerce, and has helped the Houthis shut down two of the world's most strategic sea lanes. What we inherited was a terrible situation, and this is one of what will be a sustained effort to right that wrong and to reopen global commerce.
U.S. Central Command launched dozens of strikes both from naval vessels and aircraft, destroying Houthi terror infrastructure across Yemen. In response, the Houthis attempted to launch surface-to-sea ballistic and cruise missiles as well as unmanned aerial vehicles toward U.S. naval assets. Nevertheless, thankfully, all incoming projectiles were successfully intercepted.
Now, we will meet escalation with escalation. We will respond to the American enemy in its raids and its attacks with missile strikes by targeting its aircraft carriers, its warships, its ships. It will be included in the ban, and yet we still have escalatory options. If it continues its aggression, we will move to additional escalatory options, Allah willing.
Meanwhile, in Tehran, commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, Major General Hossein Salami, sought to distance Iran from the Houthis, claiming that the Ayatollah regime does not have a role in any of the belligerence that the Iranian proxy Ansar Allah conducts, despite evidence to the contrary.
The Islamic Republic has no role in setting the national or operational policies of any part of the resistance front, including Ansar Allah of Yemen.
The IRGC commander went on to pledge that any attack against the Islamic Republic would be met with a response.
We will respond to any threat, if it becomes actual, with a tough, decisive, and devastating response.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. It is important for us to highlight that TV7 Israel is a non-profit ministry with all of our productions exclusively reliant on your generosity. Therefore, if you're blessed by the content of our programs and would like to encourage you to support TV7 Israel with a donation, you can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Separately, I'd like to encourage you as ever, pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hessen, wishing you a Shavua Mevorach, and God willing, we will see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.